Welcome back to PSC Tech Bytes. Today we keep on talking about the Microsoft Graph Toolkit, and specifically I want to explain you how to use the to-do component to show, add, update, delete or complete tasks in Microsoft To Do. The to-do component is an highly customizable component. For example, you can configure if it will be a read-only list of tasks or an updatable one. You can eventually hide the header of the task list. You can specify a task list to start from, or you can lock the UI of the component in order to show just the tasks of a specific target list. You can subscribe to events when a task will be added or removed or clicked and stuff like that. And of course you can customize the CSS as well as the rendering templates of the tasks in the task list. So, like always, let me move to the demo environment. Let me show you how to work with the to-do component. So here we can see Microsoft To Do in action in the web browser, and in my default task list I have a demo task that I just created. If I switch to the solution that I developed, we can see the To Do component of the Microsoft Graph Toolkit in action. And here you can see the default rendering of a task in a task list. You can click on the title, you can switch to another task list, like for example this one that I have in my Microsoft To Do instance. And from a code point of view, you can easily see that I simply introduce the MGT to do component, providing an ID because I want to get it in my JavaScript code, and nothing more than that. I simply render the content inside the output of my page. Of course, we can do more. For example, we can target a specific list by default. In order to do that, we need the ID of the list, and that's why in Graph Explorer, for example, I can get the collection of lists, and here you can see that I have the ID of this PSC Tech Bytes list, so let me get it. This is the value that I need. And if I will go back to my Visual Studio Code instance, I can simply specify in the attributes of my component that the initial ID of the list to show will be the ID that I copied from the Graph Explorer. And if I save the page and I go back to my browser, we can see that now, if we refresh the page, by default we will go to the PSC Tech Bytes list of tasks. Of course, we can add a new task. It could be register video 159 with whatever deadline you like, add, and we can add the item to the list and we will see it in the actual list in Microsoft To Do, and so on and so forth. But we can also, for example, play with a custom template. So we can open the To Do component tag, and we can add inside the tag a template. The data type could be, for example, task details to define a different rendering behavior for the single task item. And here we simply render a div element for the title, one for the create date time, for the due date time, and for the importance level. How do we get these properties? Well, we can easily see when we make a graph request for the tasks using the Graph Explorer that these are the properties that we get back from Microsoft Graph. So here you can see we have exactly the same properties that we find in the rendering template. So let me save this page again and let me go back to the browser, and now you can see I have a custom rendering with a custom template for my list of tasks. Like always, thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you next week. And remember, subscribe to this channel. Thank you.